On tonight's show, we're interested in one thing and one thing only: violence and computer games, which is two things, but they are interrelated. For this gore-drenched special, we'll be running through our pick of the world's grisliest games and yakking to the psychos behind nasty car game Carmageddon 2.
And I kill lots of people in front of a psychologist, but it's only a game, innit?
I'm Rachel Reynard, that's Charlie Brooker, and this is a whirlwind of virtual violence.
Hello, this is the digital update on Radio 1.
The most violent video games in the world. Ever. Number 5.
1988.
Title.
Splatterhouse. In the arcade game Splatterhouse, you played Rick, a masked teenager fighting his way through a haunted house. Most of the action consisted of Rick ham-fistedly flailing at a parade of zombies with a stick. Other highlights included a fight with a room full of intestinal maggots and a gruesome finale that makes the final scene from the movie Seven seem like something out of Holiday on Ice.
コンピューターもとってもいい on Radio 1.
I think there's a lot of violence in games. I'm not sure whether it encourages violence or not, though. I think it's either there in you or it's not in you.
So then, computerised killing. What do you think?
There's absolutely no need to see someone rip someone's arm off. Although it's funny, it wears off in about 2 minutes.
You want to kill someone, you hate their guts, so you challenge them to a game of Street Fighter and you batter them. If it's two adult people gouging each other's eyes out with their thumbs, that's great. It's when you involve children, I really wouldn't want to see that.
Just beat 'em up, kill 'em games that have no point apart from killing. It's no point.
As long as it didn't get into like sort of pornography or start getting racist, then I couldn't really see a limit.
The most violent video games in the world. Ever. Number 4.
1993. Mortal Kombat was the first arcade game to feature on-screen blood. Dressed in outrageously camp costumes, the in-game warriors may have looked about as threatening as a potato waffle, but they fought to the death.
Excellent.
It's got some pretty sick moves, there's lots of bloods, but right at the end, when the person's on his last bit of energy, he falls to his knees. Even though we were taught never to kick a man when he's down, Mortal Kombat teaches you that when a man's down, you rip his spine out.
Finish him.
The kids loved it so much it was hurriedly converted for the Mega Drive and Super NES. Concerned parents practically wept.
Video game rating system, haven't a clue how it works.
Last Friday saw the release of Tenchu, a swashbuckling ninja game for the PlayStation. The game's received an 18 certificate, so it's illegal for anyone below that age to buy it.
It looks like you chose the wrong party to crash.
But does anyone pay any attention to game ratings?
Nobody pays attention to that. You're joking.
It's great to see the BBFC classifying it more like films, because they are becoming like films.
I think it's very difficult to put these age ratings on. You can go to a local shop if you're known, and get away with it, or you can get it from the internet.
Somebody help!
The age ratings are a bit stupid, really.
The most violent video games in the world. Ever. Number 3.
1993. Doom. Doom shoved PC owners kicking and screaming into a nightmare world of dark corridors stuffed with monsters that would run up and bite off your face. It also let you butcher your closest friends thanks to a gory 4-way network option, which was sort of like paintball but with a higher body count. The people behind Doom went on to create the equally infamous Quake, which was also sick and wrong. Oh, and very popular.
Sickest game I've ever seen would probably be Postal. Violence in Grand Theft Auto can be amusing. Violence in Carmageddon can be amusing. Postal was just sick.
こんにちは。こちらはラジオ1デジタルアップデートです。
Number 2.
1998. Resident Evil 2. The flesh-munching, bloodletting, horrific action-adventure is said to be Richard Ashcroft's favourite PlayStation game. Perhaps he identifies with the sunken-eyed, hollow-cheeked, flailing, gangling, groaning on-screen monsters. Or perhaps he just likes watching the back of their heads come off like some kind of sick madman.
These things are big in Japan.
Almost every game features violence in some form, but few revel in it like notorious PC game Carmageddon, in which drivers splatter pedestrians. The sequel, Carpocalypse Now, isn't even out yet, but has already run into problems. Neil Barnden from Stainless Software.
The pedestrians are all fully polygonal, so they do come apart quite satisfyingly when hit. If the pedestrian stays alive after being decapitated, then he will crawl or hop around squirting blood, and you'll get a bonus for that.
Any game featuring explicit sex or violence is automatically referred to the British Board of Film Classification. Most are passed uncut, but Carmageddon 2 has been causing unique problems.
The main problem that the game has encountered has been with the British Board of Film Censors. The main exception they took to the game was that you can be seen to be rewarded for running over innocent people as opposed to people who've actually done you any harm.
A 15-rated version of the game is released this Friday, with innocent humans replaced by evil zombies. Although the BBFC is still deliberating over the full-blooded adult version. When asked to comment, the BBFC's James Ferman declined. Now, a team of psychologists has been brought in to help evaluate the game. For a taste of what they might be saying, Charlie invited psychologist Dr. Aric Sigman to have a look at Carmageddon 2 in all its glory.
Well, here I am ploughing down a busy city street, mounting the pavement and actively hunting people down and running them over. I mean, do you think this sort of thing should be allowed?
Whether it should be allowed or not is really a legal question. Whether it's good for society, I have no qualms in saying that it certainly isn't. And what worries me is that you seem to be enjoying it a little bit too much.
I'm enjoying it immensely. I mean, it's not entirely realistic. As you can see, I've just got a power-up here, which has given all the pedestrians gigantic heads. This isn't a documentary we're talking about here. It's clearly fantasy.
The really strange thing about these video games is that they produce the kind of chemicals that should be produced when you're actually involved in real fight or flight situations. The strange thing, which is historically very new, is that you're producing these chemicals without having a chance to act them out physically. So you're producing lots of cortisol and adrenaline, those stress and aggression hormones, without any physical outlet for that. So it leaves you in a very strange, agitated state. It does not leave you calm.
It may not leave you calm, but does computerized violence cause any lasting damage? Speaking on a television program earlier this year, James BBFC Ferman admitted there was little proof, while tapping his pen on the desk in a slightly irritating way.
There is really no good research on games. We don't know what the interactive component of the game's experience does. The fact that you're actually interacting with what's on the screen and you're causing what happens.
Patrick Buckland was lead programmer on Carmageddon 2.
Do you worry that somebody's going to, look at this game and it's going to turn them into a psychopathic serial killer?
No, obviously not, because if we had that worry at all, we wouldn't do it.
Despite all the worries about games, most games are not a worry because the violence is a balance between the player and the machine. The big change is we're getting interpersonal violence by violent players against innocent characters.
You don't think it's going to have any adverse effects on anyone?
No, not at all.
Sure about that?
Yes.
Patrick's certain enough, but the truth about gaming violence remains elusive. One thing's for sure, the current classification system doesn't seem to know how to handle adult games.
Especially really sick ones.
We do have some animals in the game. There are elephants, which take a fair bit of knocking over, amusingly, and dogs and wolves and reindeer and cows and sheep.
The most violent video games in the world ever. Number 1.
1999.
Title: Kingpin.
It's not even out yet, but if the early version we saw is anything to go by, Kingpin will stir up an almighty ruckus when it arrives on the PC next year. Like a video game version of Scorsese's Goodfellas, players progress from wormy street kid to mafia crime boss by shooting lots of people in the nose. Drew Markham is the game's producer.
It's very gritty, it's very realistic. We tried to take a lot of the cues that Mr. Scorsese uses in his film, the atmosphere, the ambience, the violence, the language, and the character involvement.
The game's ultra-violent action has pleased weed-addled rap outfit Cypress Hill so much, they've allowed their sweet, sweet music to grace the soundtrack, which also features lots of sophisticated dialogue.
Kill that motherfucker!
Now, let's give peace a chance with John Peel.
Discontinue. Tomorrow, 10 p.m, the movie update on Radio 1. The update. On Radio 1.